Greetings. I am going to make a statement. The game I'm about to present is as well maintained and cared for as Deep Rock Galactic. It just doesn't have the same cult following. If that piqued your interest, stay for a while. Grab a drink or whatever, grab something to eat and sit back. Gunfire Reborn is a first-person roguelite shooter with a very stylized graphical appearance. The most intriguing feature of this game though is something that came to my attention only after playing for quite a while. Let me try and lay it out for you. Now this is obviously an FPS game, so what is really important for a good FPS game? Snappy aim, good gun feedback, good reticles, yep, flowing movement, yeah, gun mechanics, excellent control schemes, varied enemies, that one too, a large selection of guns, also. All of these are important, but there is another often overlooked aspect, and that is reload animations. This game has some really good looking, well animated, at times kind of goofy looking, and kind of just nice looking reload animations. I can't really put my finger on it. The game is just kind of like a very simple cartoony style, but the reload animations still feel snappy. You just get a good satisfying feedback from a gun when you reload it in this game. I guess satisfying really is the best word to describe it, even though it's such a simplistic looking game. We have very classic reloads to your more fantasy or sci-fi reload animations to just completely ridiculously goofy and nonsensical reload animations. It's all present in the game. Now you've likely seen some of the guns that I have presented there already, and then you got curious, how stupid do these gun designs get? Well, let's see. We have all of the normal things you would expect from FPS. We have carbines, big hand cannons, handguns, SMGs, snipers, ARs, everything of that specific notion. Then we have a fiche that shoots fire grenades, an auto-targeting rifle that works on rainbow magic, some sort of Doom-inspired gun, possibly, a lizard that you squeeze the life out of and slap to reload. By the way, we do not condone scaly abuse on this channel. Then we have a gun that just shoots giant electric balls. Then we have a literal piece of paper that's on fire. We got some icy needles. And then we got a brick. Yes, literally just a stone brick. Oh yeah, by the way, that brick is classified as a sniper in the game, if you wanted to know what type of weapon a brick is in this game. Then we have a gun that is a very good boy and needs to be fed regularly to kill people. Then we got a shotgun that you just spin like a revolver to reload, even though it's just a breech-loading normal dual-barrel shotgun. You just spin it to reload for some reason. Then we got a sucky boy. And then we just got a compass. It's just a compass, but this compass hurts and kills people. Then we have a water pistol that is fueled by the life of a crab or something, and when you reload it, you rip the crab off and throw it to the side, where then the crab gets instantly killed by the impact. Or that is at least how I imagine it works. Then we have a simple circular saw. We have dual-wield katanas, very edgy, a scarf that is on fire, and literally just Sonar's weapon from League of Legends. And those are just a few of the guns that are available in this game. And we haven't even talked about the roguelite aspect of this game. Besides the different characters that we will be talking about later, this game naturally drops weapons with different attributes, ranging from pretty generic upgrades like more crit damage, more fire rate, or more status effect, to just insanely specific weapon traits, such as having 2 different status effects on one gun, or just shooting an extra projectile, or just shooting multiple types of projectiles, locking onto enemies' heads, refilling the magazine, or just having infinite scaling crit chance and damage. There's an insane level of different builds that you can roll during a single run on one single weapon. And this game has over hundreds of those. Then we got the scrolls that you can pick up during a run, which give you all sorts of character and weapon upgrades. We got everything from just having more shields and armor, to having more health, or health regeneration, or getting double the shields but having only 1 HP point left, or just gaining 300% movement speed, and then having your damage scale with movement speed. You get where I'm going here? Then we have getting 1% more permanent damage for each defeated enemy. Then Then you have all sorts of AoE damage effects when you reload your gun or basically do anything in the game. Then we have being immune to certain status damage effects, or you heal yourself when you're on fire instead of burning to death, or you just have a 40% chance to be immune to all damage, or you do more damage the closer or farther away you are from enemies, and so on and so forth. There are dual-edged scrolls that give positive and negative effects to kind of balance out the power of the positive effect. There are enhanced versions of all scrolls available. Those give you extra bonuses and sometimes just get rid of any kind of negative trait entirely. And finally we got cursed scrolls. Those are supposed to be trade-offs that you have to take from chests or other events if you want a really powerful upgrade. Now, cursed scrolls are just bad. Sometimes they are really bad, but usually during a run these basically become almost irrelevant, and you can get a scroll that makes you completely immune to cursed scrolls. And in addition, you can get other scrolls that give you more damage and defenses the more cursed scrolls you have. In theory, you could kind of make a weird cursed scroll build if you wanted to. In short, this is a very classic roguelike with many insanely fun build choices. But what is the main play cycle? How does a round go usually? Well, firstly, you choose one of many characters. You choose a difficulty which ranges from easy to hard, and then you can go from hard +1 to hard +10 if you want a real challenge, and then you just jump into a round. Your basic movement consists of a jump and a dodge, and the dodge has a certain base cooldown, and that's it. Everything else that's movement related comes either from skills or from the scrolls you get during a run. You pick up weapons from chests, events or enemies, and you kill to gain money and spirit shards. Money is used within a run. The shards can be used to upgrade your passive bonuses outside of a run and to purchase certain other things that I will explain later. So you get stronger for the next run using the spirit shards, kind of like in every roguelite that you have probably ever played. There's nothing too complicated here. You go through actual portals to reach the next room, and each arena or each room is randomly generated. Then there are a few biomes you go through. Every biome has a few end bosses, and once you beat the final boss of the final biome, you are done with a run, and you only take home your spirit shards. And at the end of a run, you obviously get a rundown of how well you did within that specific match. And when I say most of the characters in this game are absolutely bonkers broken, I mean it. And that is 90% of the fun in this game. Kind of like any roguelite, you know, getting to the point where things just get so out of hand that everything just starts randomly blowing up around you. It's kind of on the same level as Risk of Rain 2, only you don't lose as many frames when things go crazy. Maybe because there aren't that many enemies on screen as they could be in Risk of Rain 2. So now let's talk about the characters, as I think they contribute immensely to the charm and style of this game. And there are quite a lot. As you might have recognized so far, this game is of Chinese origin. Now, don't worry, this is made in Hong Kong, and as far as I know, there's no weird shenanigans in the game. But that also means please forgive me for the upcoming pronunciations of certain characters. First off, we got just Crown Prince. No, that's not his title, that's his name for some reason. He has no other name than that. And he's supposed to be some sort of cat, probably? I think he's a cat. He's built around doing lots and lots of status damage. And this is a good opportunity to talk about those status elements really quickly. We have fire, poison, and electric status damages. And these have specific effects on enemies, putting them on fire, poisoning them, reducing armor, and reducing shield. And you can combine each of the elements together to get more effects. The Crown Prince can specialize theoretically in all of them. Most of the characters in this game have some sort of specialized skill tree. Each character has 3 dedicated skill trees and then a set of passives that you can upgrade outside of the game to make the overall character stronger. In this case, the cat can heavily specialize in one of the 3 elements, or if you are insanely lucky with your upgrades, in 2 or maybe even in all status ailments. His active skills are one, a big giant blue ball that he throws at enemies. The ball can lock them down, basically being a big stun that does a lot of damage. And then he has a few poison grenades that debuff enemies and poison them. Both of his 2 other skill trees revolve around upgrading the blue balls or the poison grenades. During a run, you would get specific goblets from chests at the end of a room or bosses or events that give you character upgrades. This is how you would unlock certain character traits during a run. The Crown Prince, being the starting character, you might assume he's maybe a bit mid or weak even, but nah. Depending on your upgrades and weapons, you become an absolute face-melting status monster, especially if you somehow get a weapon and a weapon combination that gets all 3 elements. That is not going to be pretty for the enemies. So that's the first starting character, the Crown Prince, or the cat if you don't care for the name. Next we got Aowai, the first dude with an actual name. He's a big dog, or I think he's a dog. His whole spiel is dual wielding. So if you wanted to relive those memories of being totally broken and overpowered in Borderlands 2 as Salvador, you can do it in this game with this guy all over again. He's all about explosion, ammo regeneration, health recovery, and grenades. His first skill is obviously dual wield, which can be upgraded to do some ridiculous damage and almost last forever depending on the build. And then he's got a basic grenade that explodes, which he can also upgrade. You can dual wield snipers, miniguns, rocket launchers, and when you spec into explosive damage, dual wield rocket launchers gives you some really fun results. And this character too, just as the first one, can be incredibly broken. Just keep in mind that you can't dual wield everything. Weapons that are already dual wield, obviously you can't dual wield again. And sadly, you can't dual wield swords, melee weapons, and obviously bows, because this guy doesn't have 4 arms. But let's just say this, these 2 dudes that I've just shown off might come across as much more balanced than some of the later characters that you will see. So get ready. Next one, we have got Bird, also known as Queen Yang. Green Bird here is all about shotguns, CQC, and kicking people into the next dimension. He's also the first character that has armor as defense. Normally characters have shields that work like any shield in any game, they automatically regenerate, but this dude just has armor. That armor does not automatically generate. That sucks, you might think, but no. This guy is built all around regaining armor from combat. Your first ability is a long-range kick, which will give you back armor if you hit it or if you don't, depending on your upgrades. And as long as you're in the air, you are just straight up invulnerable to damage. And then your second ability is the first one that I would call one of the fun secondaries in the game. He's kind of swiping with his wings through the screen and slapping the ever-loving soul out of enemies. And why do I say it is a fun secondary? Well, you can make a pretty insane build where each kill will permanently increase the damage of the wing slap to the point where you will be deleting enemies in one single slap later on the game. In a way, you could argue that this is kind of the first character that can be played purely as a caster without even using his guns. So we have a low range, high risk, high damage, melee shotgun bruiser, and a very definitively extremely broken character if played correctly. And then we got our white tiger, Laylo. Laylo, get it? He's the sniper guy. He's laying low. Lay low, get it? You get a joke? Now, I think personally maybe he should lay off the calories a little bit, because this guy here is looking a little bit chonky, or maybe he's just all muscles, who knows, you know. Nothing against chonky boys, he just looks a bit big. Also, it seems he got a bit of anger issues, I think. He's the electricity-based character, an electricity-wielding sniper. Very low defense, stupid high damage. And the first character out of the box that is just extremely turbo-balanced. And by that I mean he is beyond broken overpowered. He can summon a lightning strike on his next shot that not only can wipe bosses, but can later be upgraded to refresh on a kill, causing another lightning strike to happen. But this one can also fork to other enemies, so you end up wiping an entire room with basically basically one shot. And then you can spec into ranged combat and sniping and crit damage, making your weapons broken. Also, he gets guaranteed sniper drops during a run. And if you wanted more AoE damage for some reason, he has a secondary lightning attack that can just happen automatically on a crit if you upgraded it. So just get a fast firing, high crit weapon and you wipe a room full of enemies by just shooting one guy. In short, you can wipe a room full of enemies, including the boss in the room, twice in one shot if you get the right skills. Very balanced, very cool. And also wood. Then we got Tao, the bunny. Pretty sure there's literally nothing to mispronounce with a name like that. So I'm good, at least with this character. Tao is also pretty popular within certain communities. She's got quite a bit of fan art on some sort of blue website. I wonder why that is the case. Oh, I get it. She barely wears anything, is basically almost topless, and we got actual bunny side boob in the preview when she's sitting on the bar. Ah yes, I see now. Gameplay wise though, this is another very balanced character. Very fair and not broken at all. She summons a million flying swords just out of thin air that annihilate enemies, and you can also summon these by just shooting enemies randomly from the sky. In short, it's raining magic swords to character. And then she can throw flowers at enemies, slowing them down by, I guess, bedazzling them with her beauty or some sort of shit. I don't know how that works. Anyway, swords are way more fun to build into. She also likes extremely fast firing weapons. The faster you fire, the more sword stacks you get, and the faster you can then fire off a million swords again. Very, very totally balanced, not overpowered at all, very cool and very good. Now we got our big turtle boy over here named Qian Shui. You might think he's a slow tank that has lots of defense and maybe he's got a taunt or something, but nah, this is not that type of game. He punches the absolute shit out of enemies and zips around faster than light with a water shield, basically being invulnerable to damage from the front as long as he has the shield up. Or did I mention you can go full Jotaro on enemies? Yeah, he is super fun to play and he's yet another kind of caster type character. And most of the time, since you have your shield up, you don't even have to worry about any kind of damage as long as nobody stabs you in the back. And who the hell would be behind your back in this game where like 20 enemies are on screen at all time? Yeah, there's not much to be said about this guy. He's got a shield, he's got a punch, and he kills enemies by bashing their heads in. Very based and balanced. Now, who might this next guy be? His name is Xingxi, and he's a monkey with a staff. This is a Chinese game. He can make clones of himself. He pulls out hair. It's magic hair. He throws it at enemies. He binds enemies. He's a monkey. Yeah, this, I don't know. It's not ringing a bell. Anyway, this is a totally unique monkey character. It's built all around weapons. Hard to believe in this FPS weapon-based shooter. But basically, if you lasso enemies with your secondary skill, you get certain benefits for your weapons that can be increased and upgraded and can be really fucking impactful in the game. And then there's your primary skill, the clones that you summon. They also scale with your weapon's damage. So in short, get a big gun that does lots of damage, lasso someone, and then send your clones out and let them bonk the enemies, and then just look at the big numbers go. And also he obviously does a shit ton of damage with the weapon itself. You know, you can upgrade your weapons during a run if you didn't realize that yet. If you want to, you don't have to pick up new guns. You can upgrade the level of a gun. So if you want to, you can take a gun all the way from the beginning to the run to the end. If you really want to do that, it's not advisable, but it's doable maybe for like a challenge run. But yeah, this is totally legally distinct monkey boy. And then we got Lee. Okay, at least with a name like this, there's no way I can fuck up the pronunciation. Lee is literally just Firefox, a pure caster that summons meteors and throws out a big ass giant fireball that burns enemies. But I just built her for maximum gun damage and didn't even use her spells, because that is also something you can do. And oh boy, if you get a good fire damage weapon and you get her skill tree for weapon damage upgraded, this Firefox becomes a mass murder machine. Dropping like a million meteors on fools' heads and causing a giant burn is pretty fun too. But so is Shooting enemies for millions of damage? Yes. Yet another very fair and balanced character, as you can see. And now we have the single character in this game that to this day I have no fucking clue what the fuck I am even doing when playing this guy. This is Zi Zhao, the owl. And true to his species, you have to read a book first to understand his kit. All I know is he summons a bunch of cards and then he throws those cards into people's faces, kind of like Yu-Gi-Oh style, and that is apparently very effective. What do these cards do? How does he scale with scrolls that he picks up? What does the bar on the lower screen mean? Why are all of his traits and skills a wall of text? I don't know. I just throw cards and occasionally I drop a star and then that star drops an orbital laser sometimes. How did I do that? I don't really know. I'm not an owl. I don't know how to play this guy. But even if I played incorrectly, this dude is turbo broken. So imagine what you could do if you actually had an idea what to do with this guy's kit. So yeah, I guess if you want to play this dude, go read a book. I'm clearly too dim-witted for this highbrow owl person. But I still managed to fuck things up playing this dude, so that should tell you something. And then on the complete opposite side, which is kind of funny because these characters were released together, we have Nona, the red panda, and her mech. And you already know the moment you have a character that can summon anything that can draw aggro, it's gonna mess with the balance of the game. And as expected, it's really fucking difficult to die with this character, as your mech is insanely tanky, does shit tons of damage, and will always revive you once you go down, as long as the mech itself isn't downed too. You can also drop your mechs on people's heads, and if you upgrade that skill, it just happens automatically if you shoot. So you don't even have to press the skill button anymore. It just happens automatically. And you also have shoulder launched missiles that can be upgraded to literally summon a storm of rockets onto your enemies. And she also specializes in handguns, so big hand cannons. And if you got a good handgun on her with a good ass build, it's basically over for the enemies. Your mech does millions of damage and you do millions of damage. Your rockets do millions of damage. And by the way, that is not a joke. The characters in this game literally do millions of damage, sometimes in one singular hit. So yeah, basically super easy to play and yet incredibly broken. Also the mech is piloted by her chicken buddy. I just think it's kind of funny. So that's the mech character. And now we come to the goat. I mean, like, it's literally a goat, but also the goat. That's named Lin. Ah, yes, another easy to pronounce character. Whew, thank God. Let's see if you heard this one before. Let me summarize her character and her kit. She is based around ice and frost. She has a percentage-based health execution skill that can be upgraded to execute enemies in an AoE. She passively generates an extra weak point on enemies that you can shoot in order to trigger execute damage. And triggering a weak point to blow up stuns and slows the enemies. Oh yeah, and she also throws a snowball, but that is less important. Now, how broken do you think a character with a percentage-based health execute is in this game? If you said extremely, utterly, and terribly broken, you are correct. This character literally deals infinite damage once an enemy is below the execute threshold. And that threshold can happen at like 50% if you upgrade it, even higher. But surely, this is limited to normal enemies and not just elites and bosses, right? Right? Nope. You can execute bosses, and not just that, you can do bonus execute damage to bosses at full health if you trigger one of her weak spots. So you can almost one-shot bosses in this game if you build her correctly. So yeah, this character is way beyond broken, casually just executing an entire room with one button press, and the skill has almost no cooldown too. Needless to say, that is the reason why she is the GOAT, and she isn't even the most overpowered character in this game. You might think that she is, but she is not. It's a very, very fun character to play. Oh, and also wood.
Hey yo, what?
Now we get into a more esoteric character, because this one is an artist. A squirrel named Momo. What's up with the names? Why are they all of a sudden way easier to pronounce? Whatever. This character is a little bit weird. She can generate like a blank space with her secondary ability that gives her bonuses. She also forms like a dark ink aura around her that also gives her bonuses and damages enemies. She can debuff enemies with the ink, and she also can turn into like a mobile ink spirit with her main ability, where she then can gather little ink blobs to increase the potency of her attacks in that form. Basically a bunch of ink killing enemies, you turn into a dark spirit, you kill more enemies more quickly. It's a pretty cool looking transformation, and this character has a surprising level of survivability, but let's be honest, she's a little bit more balanced than the goat. But still, with the right weapon and build, basically borderline broken. Gotta admit though, this is my least played character, not due to any specific reason, it just happened to be this way, but it's still worth trying out in my opinion, because it's an interesting character to play. Very unique skill set. Now we got to the second to last character, Yo-Yo, a sort of forest spirit, some sort of doe. So that means she's going to be a support, like a healer, right? Right? She's a supporter, she's a healer. Well, she is a sort of druid that infects enemies with parasites and then has them sprouting seeds that burst from the enemies, and she consumes the seeds and turns them into murderous plant turrets that annihilates everything around them. Oh, she's not a support at all. She's a freaking murderer. Don't let her looks deceive you. She is definitely hiding a basement of corpses somewhere. But yeah, she's based around summoning seed turrets and seeds, and those turrets hurt bad. Those turrets do some ridiculous damage. And in addition, her speciality is staff weapons. There aren't a lot of staff weapons in the game yet, but by the way, if you see that a brick in this game is classified as a sniper, a literal brick of stone is a sniper, then don't just think that the word staff means it has to be a stick with some sort of end to it. The piano gun that I'm using currently is also classified as a staff weapon. So staff doesn't mean it looks like a staff. And this weapon on this character absolutely fucks up enemies. So that is the cute and innocent murdering druid. Also, wood.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
And now, last, but very much not least, the coolest, the best, and the most handsome character, Chang Yue. This bloke has an entire moveset attached to his primary spell. Why do you think that is the case? Why does he have a separate list of moves attached to him? Well, take one look at this dude. Who does this guy remind you of? He's some sort of greenish aura. He can go into rage mode. He gets buff and much bigger when he's enraged. He becomes basically a fighting game character. Oh, and also he can throw out a green key blast at people. Nah, it doesn't ring a bell. Yeah, this character is actually the most broken one. Not only can you switch between your base small form and your rage mode on the fly, if you take damage and die as the big guy, you just go back to being small with full health and full shields. In addition, you can just quickly get the vigor points back in order to transform again. So yeah, this guy is totally beyond broken. You actually use a unique resource on this character called vigor. It's just basically a secondary resource. Some of your skills and transformation costs some points of vigor, but in the end game you will basically have permanent max vigor. You get a shit ton of health, not just as the big version, but also as your small version. And as I have already mentioned, you get an entirely new moveset once you transform. You get dash attacks, you have slams, you have jump attacks, you have flourishes, you have combos. You can upgrade each combo to get an additional move. You get a defense stance, and you even get a projectile attack. And even unupgraded, your moves do a shit ton of damage. But depending on what you upgrade, you can literally go full on Jotaro style, and you literally never stop punching. As long as you don't die in your raged form, you can just hold down the primary button and just keep punching people. It is very, very easy to do millions of damage in a single punch with this character, and he doesn't even have an execute built in any of his damage set at all. So yeah, this lion boy here is just straight up capable of going Super Saiyan. Oh yeah, and he can also bind people in some sort of green sphere, but who cares about that when you can punch people to death? And also, this goes without saying, absolutely would. Those are the characters and the gameplay of Gunfire Reborn. Now, while I show off some of the funny enemy designs in this game that also underline the charm of this game, we can talk about the other aspects this game has to offer. For example, each year so far had a complete roadmap with updates that are always delivered on. There are regular DLC releases that bring new weapons and characters at a very reasonable price. Then there are also new weapons added into the game for free during certain updates. Every update has a thematic season and a season path attached where they introduce completely new mechanics and upgrades and other things. They are still increasing the biomes and the maps. They're introducing new enemies and bosses. Some of these seasonal effects also stay around permanently after a season is over, and you never lose any seasonal content. There is no FOMO in this game, and you don't even have to grind an old season if you missed one. No, it's even better than Deep Rock in this aspect. Everything you missed is literally just in a seasonal store. Everything, every skin, every emote, and it's super fair and cheap to buy. Do you remember the spirit shards that you get from just running the game and finishing a run or even failing? Yeah, that's the currency you use to buy things in the seasonal store. Literally just stuff that you get from playing the game. And that seasonal currency is extremely easy to get, or the spirit currency. Let me just put us into perspective. In the effort to record a run with each character for this review, I not only accidentally completed the entire season pass, I also bought half of the skins that I had missed out on from previous seasons. So this is how fair this game is with its skins. So there's no problem when you missed out on anything in the game. Just play the game for a bit and you'll just unlock all the things you want in the game. Then there are challenges and challenge achievements that you can chase. These give you like extra acolytes in the game and character portraits, you know, specific challenge runs, stuff like this. Then there are random weekly events if you want to do those. And then each run can also be spiced up with extra effects from the menu. It's not just the increase in difficulty, but you can do totally different things in the run, such as getting extra bosses, different bosses, a selection of extra scrolls at the beginning of each biome, and then those scroll effects also get put onto enemies. And you even get the ability to fuse different skills from other characters in your build, and you can have the classic never-ending run experience, just like Risk of Rain, for example. There's almost a never-ending amount of things to do in this game, and you can always come back to it. If you get bored, you can always come back to it. Like this game, I installed it, and for years I have never uninstalled it once. I mean, why would I? It's like 4 gigabytes or something. And up until 2026, as of the making of this video, we have gotten regular updates pretty much all the time. And the price? Well, it's just $70. And each DLC is kind of about $6. And there are regular sales that happen, so buying this game and all of its DLCs shouldn't be an issue for anyone. It's a totally fair price. And the quality, the style, the gameplay, and the fun value you get from this is totally worth the full asking price in my opinion. So that's Gunfire Reborn, a super nice, very cheap, fun and fair game that values your time, doesn't require you to farm your ass off, and has a really charming art style and really cool character designs. What more could you want from a game? Go and try it out. That's all for now. See you next time.